Welcome to TylerMedeirosTV. Grab a snack and grab a drink, because we're about to be getting into the strangest last meals requested on death row. The first person we're going to be talking about today is a man named Timothy McVeigh, born April 23rd, 1968. McVeigh was raised in Pendleton, New York by his father when his parents divorced while he was at the young age of only 10 years old. While McVeigh was in school, he often dealt with bullying, and later in life he would believe that the US government was the ultimate bully. Many who knew McVeigh at a young age say he was very shy and withdrawn, while a few people recall McVeigh being playful and outgoing and only became shy and withdrawn as he grew older. While McVeigh was in high school, he gained an interest in computers. He got so knowledgeable at using computers that he was even able to hack into a government computer system using the username The Wanderer. In McVeigh's senior year, he was voted most promising computer programmer by his fellow students, but he had poor grades up until his graduation in 1986. McVeigh's grandfather introduced him to firearms at a young age, and people close to McVeigh recall that his wish was to eventually own a gun shop. He also became intensely interested in gun rights and the Second Amendment of the US Constitution. After high school, McVeigh went on to attend college, but dropped out soon after. After dropping out of school, McVeigh worked as an armored car guard, and his co-workers remember him being what would be described as obsessed with firearms. In May of 1988, at the age of 20, McVeigh joined the US Army and was one of the top scoring gunners of his division, and would even receive several service awards. In 1991, McVeigh was honorably discharged after the second day of the Special Forces Academy. It was on April 19th of 1995 when McVeigh drove a truck to a federal building and ignited a 2-minute fuse at 9 a.m. in the morning. By 9:02 a.m., a massive explosion was heard and felt through the area. McVeigh and a friend mounted about 5,000 pounds of explosives into a rented truck and purposely ignited the explosives, destroying the north half of the building, injuring 684 people and killing 168 people. Officials found a rear axle in the rubble from the vehicle that was used in the attack and traced the vehicle identification number to a Ryder rental box truck from Kansas. Officials also created a sketch of the man who rented the truck, which went by an alias Robert Kling. After showing the sketch to locals, a Dreamland hotel manager identified the man as Timothy McVeigh. But not before McVeigh was arrested while driving on Interstate 35 in Noble County near Oklahoma. A state trooper pulled him over for having no license plate. As the officer approached the vehicle, McVeigh stated he had a firearm in the vehicle, causing the officer to arrest McVeigh due to his firearm permit not being valid in Oklahoma. 3 days after the arrest, McVeigh was finally identified as the man from the attack. It was August 10th in 1995 when McVeigh was indicted on 11 federal counts, including conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction. On February 20th, 1996, the court ordered the case to be moved from Oklahoma City to Denver. It was on July 13th, 1997 that the jury recommended that Timothy McVeigh receive the death penalty. On June 11th at 7:14 a.m., McVeigh was executed by lethal injection. Before McVeigh was executed, he was granted a last meal. His request was for 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. Now for me, I don't think mint belongs in ice cream, but let me know down below in the comments if you guys can agree. The second person we're going to be talking about is a man named Ricky Ray Rector, born January 12, 1950. On March 21, 1981, Rector and some friends made their way to a dance hall in Conway, named Tommy's Old Fashioned Homestyle Restaurant. When Rector and his friends arrived, one of the friends was turned away at the door due to not being able to pay the $3 cover charge to get in. Rector then became angered and pulled a .38 caliber pistol, letting off several shots, killing a man instantly named Arthur D. Criswell, and injured 2 others. Rector fled the scene in a friend's car and was on the run for 3 days, staying at relatives' houses and even staying in the woods at times. It was on March 24th that Rector's sister managed to convince him to turn himself in. But Rector would only surrender to Officer Robert Martin, who he had known since he was a child. Officer Martin made his way to Rector's mother's house, arriving shortly after 3 p.m. and spoke to Rector's mother and sister. Moments later, Rector arrived to the house and greeted Officer Robert Martin. Once the officer turned his back to continue the conversation with Rector's mother and sister, Rector pulled a pistol and fired 2 shots at the officer, hitting him in his jaw and neck, before Rector casually walked out of the house. When Rector got outside, he attempted to take his own life. Soon after, officers discovered Rector and took him to the local hospital where he would undergo surgery in which he would survive. Rector was then put on trial where his attorneys argued Rector was in no condition to stand trial. But after multiple experts assessing Rector, the judge was in favor of Rector standing trial. Rector was charged on both counts and was sentenced to death. Rector was later executed by lethal injection. Before his execution, Rector was granted a last meal, which consisted of a steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and pecan pie. But Rector didn't touch the pie, and on the way to his execution, told guards he was saving it for later. The last person we're going to be getting into is a man named Philip Ray Workman, born June 1st, 1953, in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Workman was raised by his parents on various army bases and would later join the army himself. Workman was later discharged in 1973 and was sentenced to 5 years in a Georgia prison for burglary and drug possession, in which he served 25 months. In 1981, at the age of 28, Workman was living with his wife and 8-year-old daughter in Columbus, Georgia, and during the time, he was addicted to drugs. That summer, Workman hitchhiked to Memphis, and on August 5th, 1981, Workman robbed a Wendy's restaurant. During the robbery, an employee triggered a silent alarm. Soon after, 3 Memphis police officers arrived. On their arrival, Workman decided to try and flee the scene, and in the midst of it, shot and killed one of the officers. In 1982, Workman was charged with the murder of the officer. The 2 other officers testified in the trial that they had not fired their weapons and also didn't see Workman shoot the officer. An eyewitness named Harold Davis, on the other hand, who was in the parking lot of the Wendy's no further than 10 feet from Workman, stated he saw the moment Workman shot the officer. The trial in 1982 fell heavily on the testimony of the witness for the conviction of Workman. In November 1999, the witness retracted his statement, saying he called in a false lead for money due to his drug addiction. The witness also stated that he and his family were threatened if he did not change his statement. Other eyewitnesses, on the other hand, stated that they didn't see Davis at the scene, and the police report did not mention Davis's presence at the scene. In 1995, another eyewitness who couldn't testify in court due to illness stated that he had a full view of the parking lot where the incident took place, and he did not see Davis. Now, this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. After an investigation, ballistic experts questioned whether the bullet who killed the officer actually came from Workman's gun. Years later, after the trial, a member of the American Board of Legal Medicine testified that in his professional opinion, The wound to the officer was not consistent with the ammo Workman was said to be using at the time of the incident, and that the wound pointed to the gunshot actually being consistent with the wounds caused by the weapon officers use on duty. Now, he wasn't able to examine the body and wound due to the incident happening many years before, and formed his own opinion based on the photographs he received of the deceased. In January of 2005, an ex-Memphis police officer who was convicted for making fake driver's licenses stated in an affidavit that he felt the Memphis police were covering something up. At the time of the incident, 2 of the 3 officers' weapons failed to be examined. Once this information was made public, 5 of the jurors went back on either their sentence, the verdict, or both, due to no ballistic evidence being shown in the initial trial. The jurors based their decision on the eyewitness testimony of Harold Davis. On March 30th of 2001, just 37 minutes before Workman was set to be executed, the Tennessee Supreme Court overturned the decision Judge John Colton Jr. made to deny the acceptance of new evidence. Workman's attorneys requested Judge John Colton Jr. remove himself from the case as a result of the judge being involved in the first initial trial in 1982. But that request would be denied. Many people believe the trial was conducted in a manner to unfairly go against Workman. Things even went as far as one of the witnesses being denied his request to speak as a witness of the new evidence. In 2002, on January 7th, the judge ruled against Workman, saying that the new evidence presented by Workman's lawyers was insufficient enough to decline a new trial. On May 9th of 2007, Workman was executed by lethal injection. Before his execution, Philip Workman was granted his last meal, in which he declined any food and insisted that a vegetarian pizza be delivered to the homeless. His request was then denied, and Workman was given the normal prison food, which he declined. The amazing thing is that even though Workman was declined his request, the day of his execution, people across the country donated dozens of pizza to homeless shelters in his honor. Now I want to know what you guys think about these stories down below in the comments. But I'm going to go ahead and close out today's video here. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, give it a nice big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. I want to thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you guys continuously give me. It means the world to me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.